Does that matter? And I'd say no. I don't care what it feels like. It's the quality of the parts it outputs is the only thing to validate.
Reduce, reuse, recycle. It's in that. It is in that tier for recycle is the worst of the three. Ooh, I would love to be able to print Peak, as a business. Stop.
It's this false marketing, and I hate false marketing the most.
Welcome, everybody, to the Making Awesome podcast. This one will be significantly less spicy. We are going to be covering the TCT Asia and some of the announcements that came out of that are going to be important to the consumer industry. So we're going to be looking at, I guess there are updates to the Bambu H2D Pro. It's been out for a while, but they showed it printing Peak, which is interesting.
Ooh,
we have the Flash.
That is interesting.
Now it's their Peak. I'm going to talk about it.
Oh,
but,
is it Peak asterisk? Not actually.
I don't know.
Peak,
we're gonna talk about it, Jacob. Flashforge has a tool changer now, which is very exciting. Creality has their filament machine that they showed off, and now we have like actual pricing on it. And because we were way too busy, we were supposed to talk about this 2 weeks ago, but Construct 3D released a bed cleaner.
Yes,
which isn't on your website. You need to put it on your website.
I know there's a reason, because we were doing something really good with the website, and then our website host just imploded because we tried to do something called clicking a button. And now none of our tax works correctly. Don't ask me how. It's all automated through like APIs. And we only get like tax information for half of the country.
Yeah, this is why
certain areas just don't get taxed anymore.
We use Namecheap, and then we have WordPress, and then we put Divi on top of it. Like it works fine for us. And I do want to talk toward the end about some AI stuff. I had a fun conversation with. This is always fun with staff. So this individual was originally brought on to do CAD, but they have taken up a real interest in AI and LLM. So they're going to help us write our AI policy for the company and build some internal LLMs that, it
will
works
be
out.
Nice.
Yeah. So we'll be talking about that.
That's really interesting, because I was also just about to hopefully start collating the information I got from Adrian relating to AI for software development and YouTube. And to put it in as it's worth watching, it is like 4 hours and all of it is full of gold.
And then, I guess probably the biggest news that everyone was excited for, the Index pre-orders have they were open to complete. So people can fully pay for their Index pre-orders now. Prusa released the final rendition of Index on the Core 1, and it's got some people a little angry.
Really? I haven't actually seen what their final rendition is yet.
I'm almost positive I saw it in person at the factory, but it was such a fast, hey, there's the latest Index, that it's kind of foggy in the brain, But yeah, I kind of want to start with the Flashforge tool changer, because we said since day one, the AD5M is the poverty P1P, right? Dude, I saw a thing on Slick Deals. You can get them as cheap as $170 off AliExpress right now and it's a 220 cube, right? It's a full proprietary nozzle system. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but for under $200, I don't think you're getting a better 3D printer for the money right now.
UK pricing will be different, but even if it's close to that, even if it's a bad printer, which it isn't, it's not a great printer, but it's not a bad printer. But even a bad printer at that price is a good deal.
Right. It was like price. The Gen 1 Ender 3s for $100. They weren't good prices, but they were, they weren't good printers, but the price was right,
Oh, that price is great. 300 British pounds.
No, that's way too much. That's normal price.
But remember, Flashforge pricing in the UK is a bit more spenny than you expect.
That's fair. Okay. Well, they released and showed off the Creator 5, which is their 4-head tool changer, but it kind of breaks the mold for tool changers. It's the tools aren't on the back, they're on the side. I don't know why they did that. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me, but because like really the only difference here is where you put the screen. So maybe there was like a cable length thing that they had to deal with, and that's why everything's on its side. I don't hate it, to be clear, but I think it is kind of limited. If you wanted to put a bunch of these in a print farm, you now have this issue of the side of the machine is really bulky. It doesn't have spool holders on it that we could see. All that it seems to have is like an AMS style dryer that all the rolls stay in, which I'm fine with, but I don't necessarily want and, you know, be required to have it next to the printer.
Yeah.
So
that's something that I've been interestingly trying to find creative solutions for, especially as everybody knows by now, we're making an index printer.
Right.
Storing the filament effectively is the actual challenge with index, not the actual print heads, because they're really bloody good.
Yeah, it becomes a space constraint issue. Well, that's where your lights out production unit could probably have some value to index from there, but I'm sure that's just feature creeping everything for you, so.
Feature creep is like our bread and butter. That's how we get the good stuff, is by feature creeping until we realize you can't go back.
I feel this pain. But yeah, so there isn't a price point out yet, but I think that probably the $500 range is likely where we're going to see it. You know, it is a 256 cube, so it is smaller than a U1. It is obviously smaller than a XL, but
it's a lot cheaper.
Right. If they come in under the price point for a U1 and significantly under the price point for a U1, how do we feel about that? Right?
I'd be happy with that.
Because again, I think that I mean, we named the U1 the best printer under $2,000 for 2025, right? And it's under 1,000, but we said even when you go up to 2,000, not much is really going to compete with it, price to performance and capabilities, right? If this machine is, let's say 500, the U1 sits between 850 and 1,000. Does that kind of change the game for you a little bit?
Hard to say.
Okay. If it's $700 or $800, no, go get a U1. To me, there's if it's like $50 less than a U1 on sale, the U1s normally are at 1,000. But if we're talking 800 versus 850, I'm gonna still go with the U1. But I guess a lot of people were saying that the Creator 5 is much less plasticky than the U1. Something about the U1 that U1 owners know is it's very plasticky.
It's Tupperware. It does feel plastic, but I will argue, does that matter? And I'd say no. I don't care what it feels like. It's the quality of the parts it outputs is the only thing to validate. It could be held together with black magic, witchcraft, and rubber bands. If the parts that come off of it are usable and to good tolerancing, do you actually care what it feels like unless you are aesthetically minded?
To some extent, yes. Now, there's two sides to this coin. It's the, significant other, tax, right? Will they accept that machine? Will your significant other say, oh yeah, this is pretty enough for us to have it? Where does the pretty scale land, right? Bambu hit the engineering, pretty, and functional kind of ticked all three boxes. And previously, we haven't seen that much in the industry. Snapmaker said, let's just make something that works. People can put lipstick on the pig. We really don't care. Right? But my issue is not so much the significant other approval factor. It is the noise. Very plasticky machines will have a tendency to resonate at a bunch of different frequencies, and that's a pain in the butt. I don't like that. And especially if you have multiple machines, whether it's close to your bed, in your house, whatever, and you can hear them buzzing across your house, that sucks. That sucks a lot.
I will say I'm dead to that because I've heard so many machines I've slept next to them. Like, noise doesn't really affect me anymore until I notice, oh, it's quiet.
Again, I think it does come down to the significant other approval factor, right? If it's noisy and rattly and feels cheap, then we have an issue because, yeah, it's going to make cool stuff. It probably won't resonate to where you can see it on
Explaining why
prints.
your plastic toy, like the machine, the being plastic and Tupperware, cost £1,000 is a bit of a hard sell. And that's where size matters. Like, if the size is smaller, say it is 200 by 200.
Yeah.
I'd expect that printer to be 400, 500 quid.
Right.
To be fair, I expect this printer to be 500 quid to compete effectively with the Snapmaker.
Because the Snapmaker's $275. And while that doesn't sound significant, right, it's only about an extra inch, XYZ. The gentleman in our chat will tell you an extra inch for an extra $200. They're going to take it every single day of the week. All right, well, maybe a couple of you won't, but I'm not going to complain. And at 800 USD or even 650 as a pre-order, I don't think I can get behind it. 500, I can get behind it. 500, I'm looking at them, I'm considering them. I am saying, okay, these are options for us from a business standpoint because at $500, they're disposable. Not that I enjoy having disposable machines, but they become disposable. Right? $500 for a business is disposable. If it doesn't work for whatever reason, you just open another one and you have a brand new machine and then you deal with fixing it later if you decide you want to fix it. Instead, you could sell it for $300 on Facebook Marketplace to someone that is happy to do the fixing. And now that machine's only cost you $200. But at 700, 800 USD, sorry, I think the U1 is going to be a better value, but you know, that's my opinion.
I was expecting the Flashforge to be 550.
I would.
650 is a hard buy.
It is
650 it being an early bird special. I mean, it's probably going to be 700 plus.
Yeah, the commenters were saying 800 USD.
I can't justify that.
I can't. $50 more. I'm going with the U1. Sorry, but let's see. Right? Does the $799 come with the enclosure, right? Because Snapmaker doesn't. You have to buy that separately. You know, does it have a chamber heater? The Snapmaker chamber heater is attached to its enclosure, which you have to buy separately. See where I'm going with this. And while, yes, Big Tree Tech has their now Pop series, I think is what they're calling it, for Snapmaker. I get the joke immediately that they're calling it the Pop series. Do you get it? Snapmaker, and then the Pop is it's Snap Crackle Pop. It's a Rice Krispie treat reference. But
and when the wiring fails in the printer for some other reason, that's where you get your crackle from.
Well, look, I trust BTT to actually make good third-party products. For years now, we've used their products here in the shop, and I enjoy it. Actually, I want to get their new feeders. They showed them off at Smurf, and I didn't get a chance to talk with Luke. In fact,
I didn't see them.
I don't think that we will be able... I don't think we have enough footage to release a video from Smurf. I'll have to see. But we were streaming for 8.5 hours, and that was too long. We streamed for longer.
If we took a 1 hour dedicated break, I could have run around and got enough B-roll footage. And the moment we were like, I'm off to take B-roll, is the immediate moment Adrian was like,
thing. Yeah.
We're doing a thing!
And Adrian's Mars Gizmo, for those that don't know who he is. That's Adrian Luban, a.k.a. Mars Gizmo. Because I got to talk with Adrian friggin' Boyer. Very excited for that. That's still like, they tell you
I've never seen you starstruck, but you were like...
You have to understand that man is the reason we're all here today. Adrian Boyer is the reason that there are 57,000 subscribers on this YouTube channel. It's the reason Construct 3D exists. It's the reason Prusa exists. It's the reason Bambu exists. It's the reason Flashforge exists. It's the reason Creality exists. Adrian Boyer is the reason that all of these things exist. And for anybody to discount that, you're just wrong. You're just freaking wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
like,
yes,
he is the granddaddy of modern 3D printing.
And incredibly humble. Did not hold back, but very humble. Right? I am excited. I'm going to schedule like a long form interview with him, similar to what we did with Sanjay. We're going to see if we can get him on the podcast as well, but I don't know what will work out. We'll figure it out. But yeah, I was starstruck, right? Of course I was starstruck. This man's the reason I have this job. Okay. Like, it's kind of crazy when you think of it that way. But yeah, as far as Flashforge goes, if it was $500, I was happy with it.
Yeah.
At 800, I'm pausing. At 650, I'm still pausing.
I remember when Flashforge was the high expense, high quality printer manufacturer. Like, yes, they cloned the Ultimakers or the MakerBots, but they made them better. They went away from the wood. They turned them into plastic. They used steel frame construction.
Yeah.
They weren't just copying and making it cheaper. They were copying and fixing the problems of others. And now it seems to have flipped. They've gone from, we make overpriced, and I will die on that hill, overpriced but higher quality equipment, to, and it's a bit cheaper, but...
Well, my issue with like the 85M has always been the cost of consumables. So like the nozzles, you can't just replace a nozzle. You can't just replace a heater. You can't just replace anything other than the entire hot end. It is a proprietary connection. It uses springs and clips to hold it in. It is easy from a user standpoint, but it's like 35 or 40 US dollars for an OEM. There are some third-party ones out there that exist. They work, but they're still like $20 a pop. And the third-party ones do allow you to change out the nozzles, but if you break the heater, you're screwed. If you break the thermistor, you're screwed. There's no easy way to fix that stuff. But like Rob Lutter says, at $500, I throw my wallet at the screen. I agree. At $500 for this, I don't care about the enclosure. I will pay extra for that. Let me pay an extra $150 like you do with the Snapmaker. I don't care. But if your price all in is $800, I don't know if I like that. If it's all in at $650 with the enclosure, maybe. Right? Because Snapmaker's closer to like $1,000 or $1,100 with the enclosure, and they're not even expecting that until September or October of 26. Like you're talking another 6+ months before you can enclose that, unless you go third party. But will third party have a heater? I don't know just yet. So it is interesting to see it. There's been leaks of this thing for months. Flashforge themselves put it on their wiki for a bit. Community found that. They made pages on their website about it. Community found that. Obviously, pictures of it leaked. Community found that. So there's Reddit posts all over the place if you wanted to see it. Rob Lutter, of course, says we can fix that with an IKEA tub. Yes, you can. There's the IKEA tub mod for the U1, where it's just a big Tupperware container that goes on top. And it
works surprisingly well.
But there's no heater. There's no heater. Now, the Panda Breath module fits in the U1. Do I care, right? At some point, I'm spending so much money and time to get an OEM-like solution. I would rather just have the OEM solution, Or an all-in-one solution, like an enclosure with a Panda Breath built into it, right? Or a combo where I can buy it all together. I turned away money, and we don't generally turn away money, but I did it for a good reason.
What was that?
We had a same day print request for a celebration of life for a child. So I'm going to get that printed exactly how they wanted, and I'm not charging them a dime, because no parent should ever have to bury their child.
Yeah.
Getting the phone call, hearing the story, getting the part, printing out the part. Hour later, the dad shows up to get the part, and he's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm very sure. I don't want your money. I want you to take the money that you would have paid me." I said, and it wouldn't have been much. It would have been like $10, right? And I want you to spend it on the party, spend it on the guests, give it to somebody else, right? If you want to leave us a Google review, please go ahead. That doesn't cost anything, but I'll make my money doing other stuff, man. I don't want to make my money by monetizing, a family's loss of their child. Sorry, that's not how this works. But, back to what we were talking about. At what point does a 256 cube 4 tool head tool changer become not interesting to you? What price point?
Oh, no, because there's so many aspects that make a tool changer not interesting to me. One is reliability. Second is price.
Okay.
The reliability is probably the number one. I'd rather have an expensive tool changer that works than a cheap one that doesn't. Like, everybody who's had one of the earlier Bambu, like, first generation AMSs knows the pain of filament breaking off in the tubes in the AMS and then having to spend 45 minutes and hopefully not ripping out a ribbon cable to free the tube. But the price, that makes it harder. I would say, what was the build volume that you were basing this off? 250? 256.
So X1 carbon, P1S, P2S. Your classic Bambu build volume.
I'm going to say something bad because I know people aren't going to agree with it. I'm going to say $850. I think even the Snapmaker is overpriced for what it should be, but that's only because the Prusa XL was its price and they were basing theirs off of what the
XL's like almost $5,000 now. Right.
Yeah, which is nobody should be buying that at this point.
No.
It's too expensive. The only reason you'd buy it is the silicon printing heads or the carbon fiber direct composite printing heads. Like, you're not buying it just for
pick
tool
and place
heads anymore.
Again, I was a day one pre-order. I waited 2 years to get it. Right. I have no regrets of getting that.
And I would say if I did get one now, I would also have no regrets, but I'm not interested. With Index coming out, tool changers have already taken a step back in my head.
Fair.
And in fairness, the popularity of AMS systems made tool changers take a step back in my head. Because now the only reason I'd get a tool changer is multi-material, not multicolor.
Correct.
It's lost one of the, you can do multicolor and multi-material to just being multi-material. Right. That's a reduction in capability for something that I could get a 400 quid Bambu lab and an AMS, and I get all the color options a lot cheaper than even the new Flashforge tool changer.
Right. It's just...
it makes it harder.
Tool changers, though, for speed... Like, if I take the Prusa XL and the Bambu X1 carbon, that's the only Bambu that I have, and put them side by side with the same print, the XL is like 40% faster for the sole purpose that it doesn't poop, purge, or retract filament, all the way back to the AMS. That is the only reason it's faster. And if it's a single color print, the Bambu is going to run circles around it. And sure, there's this, desire for speed and waste reduction. But
see, I don't value speed and waste, because if you're doing multicolor already, you already threw speed out the window.
Okay.
Because you're doing changes just to get a color. That's an aesthetic choice and it takes time. Yes, it takes more time. But if you're doing like a multicolor benchy, just for example, we do 18-minute benchies as default. When we went to a multicolor with 2 colors on our prototype printer, it went to 45 minutes.
Right.
That was with 8-second changeovers.
It changes quite a bit.
And then you get the waste. Like, waste is not a problem to me because I run a factory. If I'm doing multicolor, I was already expecting a waste percentage. That waste percentage is not a problem for industry. Hell, if you look at any injection molding company, the amount of plastic they actually waste in each injection is quite a lot, because you've got to deal with the flashing, you've got to deal with the sprues that then get ejected out of. I don't care if we lose 100 grams or 200 or even 300 grams of waste material, because that's just the job. And if you're doing it as a business, you just margin that into your profits. That's it. You just put it in. You're like, okay, it takes a little bit more to make these parts, but the reason we're doing it is worth it. Otherwise, it could be a single part print.
See, waste matters a lot to me. It does. I understand that the vast majority of people don't care, right? Because whatever, right? Their plastic waste is not digging into what overseas companies are doing. It's not digging into, what the automotive manufacturers are throwing away. But look, man, I don't know. I don't like the idea of just a bunch of poop that I have to throw away, and seeing the posts on Facebook of people with literal trash cans full of compacted bamboo poop that they don't know what to do with. I don't like it. It's because to me, what happens? It goes into a landfill, and the whole purpose of 3D printing is to reduce the amount of waste that we get out of.
That's the
you
point,
disagree.
I disagree in the most eco-friendly way I can, which is probably going to piss some people off.
Mm-hmm.
The emphasis on recycling shouldn't ever have been put on the consumer.
Reduce, reuse, recycle. It's in that. It is in that tier for a reason. Recycle is the worst of the three. And
on top of that, you get companies that will waste your entire year's worth of waste in a minute.
I understand.
Not a second.
I understand. But that doesn't mean...
when we're already doing 3D printing, which is the least wasteful form of manufacturing on the planet...
Maybe.
3D printing, even with support material, does beat, marginally, injection molding.
I'm looking at CNC machining because the chips can get recycled fully.
Recycling the material is not the whole story. It's also the energy cost to recycle.
Okay, that's fair. You know what? Fair.
Just because it's cheaper to recycle chips doesn't actually mean it's environmentally friendly. It's why they recycle all the aluminium, because it's cheaper from the electricity cost to reprocess dirty aluminium than it is to refine bauxite into aluminium. Because the refining process is like 40% more energy.
So
that's why they recycle it. Otherwise, if they had infinite energy, they just mine more from the ground and we'd have more landfill. This whole... you need to worry about where your waste goes.
I hate this.
I hate this. Say you've got your big black, general landfill bin, and you fill it to the top with 3D printed stuff. Yeah. Does it matter? No, it really doesn't matter at all.
I hate this.
Because the waste everywhere else sucks. But this is the point. If you were making something
I don't like this.
Has a small amount of waste. Say you made a kilo part and you have 100 grams of waste.
Yep.
That's amazing. That's a 90% efficiency on part to waste ratio. If you go to CNCing, you're at 15%, maybe 20%.
But again, you can recycle that. Yes, there's an energy cost to it, but it is if you're producing your energy via green methods. This is very much the argument between pure capitalism business and the end user, right? I want to go as close to carbon neutral as possible. One, because it's fun, right? We want to go fully off grid for the business and stuff like that, because that stuff is fun for me. But is it ultimately practical? The answer is no. It's not practical because of the way and how cheap energy is. Even though energy's not that cheap by me, it's like half of what it is for you. I think that the conversation of waste brings us right into, to me, both exciting and eyebrow raising, the Creality M1 and R1, I think is what they're calling it, which is their shredder and their filament maker.
I'm not going to say anything until you say anything because I have feels.
I like the idea, but as someone that owns a Filastruder, it's dumb. And their claims of 1 kilo an hour are absolute BS. It's absolute BS.
It gets worse than you think. What 3D printing waste can you use in your R1, which is their recycling unit? Notice the pre-processing required part.
Yeah, but they have a shredder for that.
But they don't like rounded shapes, which means you can't actually use nurdles, the raw pellet form.
No, you can. You can.
Then why does it say it doesn't like rounded shapes?
Because the pellets aren't technically round, right? And come on, man, it's sub 2 centimeters that the pellets work. Pellets work.
I don't like the wording, but pellets should work. But even with that, I don't like this because A, the speed, insanely fast. impossibly fast. Your quality control is going to go down tremendously because of it. On top of that, you've got all of the original issues of recycled filament being it's slightly degraded, you don't know what the blends are. It's not a fun experience.
I want you to see the dust on that spool for how long I've had it. This is one of the first spools we ever made on our own. Okay, this is before we understood master batch colors and that kind of crap. We had no idea what we were doing. This is all raw, pure PLA with master batch. And like, it's on a Ninja Flex spool to tell you how old that is. And if anyone from Ninja Tech is watching, there's the lot number if you want to figure out how old this spool is. I used to buy these spools for 50 cents each, delivered. And I buy the box so we can make our own filament. That was back when filament was $60 a kilo. It's not $60 a kilo anymore. It's like...
It's 12.
Even good, like, expensive filaments, 30, right? 35 for Proprietary. They're saying that, you know, because, again, you can't use pure waste. You have to add virgin material. If you want to add master batch coloring, you can. Fine. But they're saying $5 a kilo cost. That means it's 340 kilograms to break even on the MSRP of $1,700 US.
Not worth it. It's not worth it. I can make an argument that one bit of it is worth it, but not their whole solution. And that's just the shredder.
The shredder,
because
great.
Everyone that's like got the Bambu Lab filler poops.
Great on the shredder.
They are terribly optimized for space. They're just 90% air because it's just a coiled up mess.
Sure.
Like, honestly, I don't actually even think people would have a big problem with like AMS waste if the waste was in cubes. Like, they just printed a cube and it popped a cube out like a Lego brick.
Yeah.
They would be so much smaller because there's barely any like waste. It's like 2 grams.
I can certainly understand this for print farms that want to process their poop back into a recyclable material that they can either give away, use for personal stuff. I can see reasons for this. And the reason of, oh, I want it to pay for itself, I don't think is a good reason. Now, yes, that's $8.99 if you buy in the first round, yeah, and you do their pre-order. I don't care. You can't look at those numbers and say, that's what I'm going to put my ROI toward. As a business, that doesn't make any sense. We want to look at our MSRP and what the MSRP would take to pay it back. 340 kilos. Now, for a business our size, we're going through about 80 to 90 kilos a month right now. But that's not waste. The vast majority of it, like I would say 99% of it, is printed plastic, and maybe 1% of it is waste. So say it's 1 kilo of waste per month, right? Brother, that means it's going to take me 340 months to pay this machine back. What is that, 20 years?
How about I go one step further? Assume like you're going to get return on investment on your recycled filament. Are you going to trust your own recycled filament to do customer parts with?
We would have to certify it, right? So we would have to like, I would, and we would offer like a discounted rate for that material. However, I'm not certain that... okay, my experience on this is running a fill extruder so long, the grease in the bearings flashed off over the course of like 5 or 6 years, and the bearings seized. So, like, that was useful when it was $60 a kilo. It's not $60 a kilo anymore. So, I don't know. It was fun when we had a public facing shop, right? I think it is a cool idea, and I think makers will adopt it because they can. but I'm not certain that if you're buying it to pay it off with cheaper filament, I think that's the bad move. If you're buying it to experiment with different materials, experiment with short run, colors or things like that, great. But if you're buying it to pay itself off with cheaper filament, I think that's the wrong move for it. But I think that's how they're going to market it.
I can't use recycled filament. I can't trust it. If I'm doing customer work, you've got to rely on the quality of the material. And if the material doesn't work, I can't use it. And if I'm testing something, I'm going to get it properly done.
I don't know, man. I want one. So like, I want one because I like to experiment with materials, but I do also want to recycle the materials that we have and use it for personal projects, right? Where I can do, whether it's fun projects or, things like that. I want one for that reason. I also want to show it off on YouTube, compare it to the old Filastrutor that I have that I don't even think works anymore. Dude,
it'll be nice to see like custom colors. And that's like the fun bit is like making your own rainbow vomit colors. But other than that, like as a business case, it doesn't make sense. You're not going to actually earn your money back on it.
No.
And you're not going to be able to use it for customer parts. So for example, we use black PETG for everything. And if we only ever recycled black PETG for everything, I still can't use that recycled filament because it's not the same quality of what we're used to.
But you can use it for personal projects.
I wouldn't even do that because if I've got a profile that's designed for factory use, which means it has been pushed to the limits of what that material is capable of, a recycled material might not be as capable and might break a printer. And that's the big problem is when you've got a recycled filament and it fails, say the diameter goes off slightly, it over extrudes, it hits the nozzle, you've now broken a printer. I don't see the value in the risk.
So, and this is like speaking from years of experience doing this. Your issues won't be diameter inconsistencies. Your machines will generally handle that pretty well.
It's flow rate causing parts knocking over. That's how I see it.
Nope.
Because I've seen it before.
It's none of that. That's not an issue at all.
Okay.
It's garbage.
So what is it then?
It's garbage. Hair, dirt.
Oh.
It's dust.
Nozzle clogs.
Yeah, it's crap getting into your filament. And yeah, you can put a screen in the way, but that screen gets clogged really, really fast. Creality will likely have some way of doing it, but I can tell you, nobody has come out with something that is affordable since the Filastrutor for a reason. It is great if you want to experiment. It is terrible if you want to do it from a return on investment standpoint. However, I want to experiment. I have literal bags full of PETG parts. Now, they're dead solid, so I will have to shred them some other way. Bring in my electric wood chipper, which I bought for the sole purpose of breaking up plastic. You can use a blender, but electric wood chippers are better.
I never considered using a wood chipper.
Yeah, so we used to use a chainsaw to cut them up in smaller pieces. They would fit into the wood chipper, then a wood chipper. From the wood chipper, it would go into a modified paper shredder, which it was taken apart. All the teeth were turned around backwards. So the outlet was now the inlet. We then added a flywheel that weighed like 4 pounds. So you had to like slowly spin it up yourself. Then you could turn the motor on, and it had enough torque to get through those parts. It was jank, right? And just that issue alone meant once the parts came out of shredding, they had to go through a washing cycle because there could be oil, dirt, grime, debris on it. And it became such a challenge that we said, yeah, no, we're done.
Do you remember when everyone was like, oh, we should oil our filament?
Hey.
Let's oil the filament.
Hey. One, we did that and it works. It worked.
It doesn't work.
It worked back then. It worked back then. And I will go through why it worked back then.
What are you talking about?
It worked. Shut up. And I've even done it to this day with really long...
That's placebo right there,
I've done it with really long Bowden tubes. There's a reason to put oil on filament for really long Bowden tubes, but you only do it once every blue moon.
Okay, hot take. You're using the wrong Bowden tubes then.
No, it's just a really long Bowden tube.
How long?
1.5 meters, but it's also pulling from a 3 kilo roll. So there
You're
is
using the wrong Bowden tubes then. You want to use the 2.5 or the 3 millimeter inner diameter ones.
I burned through those so fast.
It's called a consumable. It gets consumed.
Called a consumable. I don't want to mess with my machines.
How fast are you burning through them?
We go through 2 millimeter ID every 3 to 4 weeks. We burn through them.
No way. No way.
Oh, yeah.
No, you're doing something wrong.
No, we're doing a lot of printing is what we're doing.
No, you've got friction in that system not being caused by the tube, but probably the weight of the spool.
Could be. Don't know. That's why I want that auto loader thingy.
You want that pre-feeder.
Yeah, I want that pre-feeder. Yeah. Right.
We don't go through a tube like maybe every 8 months.
Oh, no. Yeah.
24/7 printing.
So you can actually see on the roll
5
behind
months
me.
If it's carbon fiber.
And if you look, you see how there's 3 pieces of black on the white. The middle one is the feed tube. The ones on the outer are the rollers for the larger reel. The feed tube is a piece of PTFE. There's a coupler on it so that the PTFE stays in place. That feed tube wears out, and it's because it goes through a really sharp bend radius, so the machines can be close. It burns through that bend radius pretty quickly. Oh, I need my machines
What is the
close.
bend radius? What is the bend radius?
What the tightest I can get before the filament snaps.
That's not a good answer.
I don't care.
You need to measure that.
No, I don't.
Filament should not be bent more than in a 45 mil radius.
It's fine.
Like if your diameter is smaller than 90 mil, you're bending your filament too much.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm aware that I'm bending my filament too much. I needed these machines to be very close because the third machine on the shelf was so big that if they weren't this close, it wouldn't fit. Now that third machine is gone, and I just haven't moved the machines apart anymore. But it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, I could go to larger Bowden tube. It would probably help things out. I just put a little PTFE oil on the filament. When I load in a new large spool, I dip the tip of it in that PTFE lube and just run it through. It's fine. No, look, we did it back in the day because machining tolerances were bad. It was very often that you would buy nozzles that had chips in them still, right? So you would try to drill it out a little bit and try to clean it out. But the problem that we ran into was you wouldn't get a smooth transition from the PTFE liner that you had to the cut down for the neck down for the nozzle tip. So because that wasn't very smooth, we would literally season the actual nozzles. When we would get brand new brass nozzles, we would heat up oil in a pan and we would coat them in hot oil until they turned black, because that meant that they had absorbed that oil. And if we ran the nozzles on their own, they would clog. We would have problems. When we oiled it, it worked fine. I get it. It doesn't make sense. But this is... Glenn said, what shit nozzles were you buying? This was a long time ago, Glenn. This was 2012, 2013, right? This was a long time ago in this industry where, like, when the Wanhao Duplicator i3 came out.
Oh, hell yeah, brother.
The stock nozzles on those were terrible. And it was until Micro Swiss came out with their all metal hot end kit for it. And that was like one of Micro Swiss's first products that I remember. And they visited our shop. I remember when the Micro Swiss guys came into my retail store. We always laugh about that when we get together. Like, we've known each other for so long. But they visited us when we had a retail store. But this, up until the Micro Swiss stuff, we had to. It was just not good filament back then. All right,
Yeah,
I can maybe
don't
buy it if it
actually
was
get the same
Wanhao
thing.
nozzles. Thank you. I know you can. I know you can.
This is why back in the day, I always used a filament supplier called Rigid Inc.
Yep.
And they were
I remember Rigid Ink.
So good.
They were good.
Oh, Rigid Ink, actual usable filament.
Like $80 a kilo to get it into the States.
Really?
Really, really.
Holy hell.
Yep.
I've still got some wheels behind me. Actually, I should say I do have up-brand filament. I'm never using it. It is dog shit.
Oh, it's just pure ABS.
Bad.
I've been using it.
Pure ABS.
Dude, I've been using it in the HT90. It loves it.
I've been using it in the well, I also had to modify it because it's 3 mil filament for some reason.
Oh, mine's not.
Not 2.85, 3.
Yes.
So I've got a custom light insert for a C2, and even that is struggling to print it in full temperature, and it's just like.
Glenn says, if you want, we probably still have some Wanhao nozzles on the shelf. Put those in a glass case as history of the industry, right? Dude, it was rough, right? But those were $300 printers, okay? Those were $300, and we had 15 of them at one point. They had no thermal runaway protection. They had their end stops were actual physical switches, but the switches were really, really bad. And the little lever on them would often break off. So sometimes they just wouldn't
them where they got dust in the actual contactors. So it doesn't matter how many times it clicks. It ain't working either way.
It was a good direct drive system, but it was a direct motor drive. The motors had so much torque that it would just twist the chassis off the line. And see, that's a joke you don't get because you haven't seen Fast and Furious references, or Fast and Furious movies, and I hate you for that. But dude, they had so much torque, they would just eat your filament. The extruder feed gears weren't cupped. You know how extruder feed gears are now like cupped for filament to fit in? Nope, they weren't like that. So if you ran out of filament, which they didn't have runout sensor, so if you ran out of filament, the metal idler bearing plus the brass extruder gear all of a sudden would cut grooves into your extruder gear that would keep it from working. Oh my God, it's just... I need a drink. Things were bad back in the day. You still have a D4S in the box. Oh my God. I've set Wanhao's on fire here for videos. And yes, Madcat says to tell Glenn to ask me about the MakerBot that we have. Madcat found close to him a MakerBot Replicator 1 wood that's signed.
Oh.
Now we know Brie Pettis's signature is on it, but we're not certain who the other ones are. So it's pretty great. Glenn says my first job at 3D Primo was repairing Duplicator i3s that we got back from Amazon. Hey man, the DIII coolers back then, that was the ever-loving shit. Those were so good. You went from this stupid like 20 millimeter radial axial fan to a 40 by 15 millimeter snail blower with a full 360 cooling. Man, those things were so good back in the day. You put an all metal hot on it, you put the DIII cooler on it. Those things were, and you flashed Safe Marlin on it. Those were like legitimately decent printers. They really were. They just needed a lot of work to become decent. And I laugh because if we ever like start to get in-house staff, because like all of our staff are remote, but if we start to get like physical in-house staff, their first job, I think I have 2 Duplicator i3s, but I still have my personal Duplicator i3. Their first thing they have to do is learn how to use that printer. Because you need to understand how we struggled back in the day so you can appreciate how good it is today. Damn it. I'm not bad. I'm very bad. But yes, to go back on topic, I want a shredder. I want the shredder more than I want the filament maker. I agree with you, just to, reduce some of the smaller failures into, smaller pieces.
Yeah. I value the shredder more as a packager. So you can package waste smaller. than actually using anything with the waste.
And then we saw through a few creators, which I had never seen capable, the Bambu H2D Pro printing PEEK. Now,
I've not heard of this, but I am skeptical.
It's Bambu's PEEK Pro filament.
Bambu.
I could not find it on their website.
Filament.
I already looked. The H2D Pro has apparently been out for a while. It's like $500 or $600 more than the regular H2D. It comes with a tungsten nozzle and Ethernet, and that's about the only options that make it worth that extra money. But they're claiming that it can print PEEK, and that means it needs a 400 plus degrees Celsius nozzle, a 140 degrees Celsius plus bed, and in theory, a north of 100 Celsius chamber temperature to print PEEK properly. But in the video that I found, the print house put out a couple of shorts with it. Their chamber temperature was like 60 to 90 Celsius. That's too low for PEEK. So I'm assuming it's not real PEEK.
I'm going to assume it's not PEEK. It might be like PPA, natural coloring.
So it does look like PEEK. Like the coloring looks like PEEK.
Yeah, but so does PCTG look like PEEK.
Fair. But yeah, calling it PEEK Pro tells me it's not pure PEEK. And just to be clear, if you are looking at this saying, ooh, I would love to be able to print PEEK, as a business, stop. Seriously. Because when you're printing those god tier thermoplastics, PEEK, PEC, Ultem, 9085, 1010, don't care. Those all require material certifications 99 times out of 100 for a business level job. Like when we print PEEK, we have to provide the full traceability report for that material to the companies we deliver it to. And PEEK is often about $1 a gram. So you're looking at a kilo of PEEK costing about $1,000 US. It's probably less than that now. 3DX Tech would be the place I would look. Maybe it's like $600 or $700 a kilo. But if Bambu PEEK is significantly cheaper than that, it's not real PEEK. If you can't get traceability reports, don't use it for things that need traceability. You will get sued when it inevitably fails. And often PEEK, PEC, and Ultem are used as end-use mission-critical components. And the last thing that your insurance will cover for you is you knowing that it wasn't right, you still making the part, people dying from it, and you getting sued.
Yeah.
Don't be stupid.
Well, if you're playing in the big boy game of needing PEEK, you play by big boy rules.
Yes.
And that requires safety certification.
Yes.
And just general certification. You can't just be like, it's good enough.
No.
Because normally, if it's in PEEK, it's life critical.
Good enough doesn't work with no, you need traceability reports. If you are buying Ultem and it doesn't come with a traceability report that traces it back to Sabic Incorporated or Sabic Enterprises, whatever they call it, it's not certified Ultem. Because they're the only ones that have that access to that name. You can get polyether from other companies. But if you want certified Ultem, it has to come from Sabic. Last I checked, at least. As a general business thing, I try to avoid three-letter organizations. Don't make them come to you. Just don't do it. Is it cool? Hell yeah, it's cool. Seeing PEEK at a lower cost machine works. I like that idea. But even the HT90 can't print big PEEK parts. They only certify it for like 2 inches above the build plate because you can heat the build plate really high and get that little area of the chamber nice and hot. But after that, you're going to get layer separation on PEEK because it's going to cool too fast. So, yeah. Airplane parts. Airplane parts are often PEEK or Ultem because those are certified by the FAA for end-use flight in airplanes. So
they're naturally flame resistant, they're chemical resistant, they're one of the strongest, toughest, baddest filaments you can print with, and the spenniest. Anything that's life critical or could be life critical, it's in PEEK or
don't F around.
That's it.
Right? It's like we're making, they just sent me a new file, so I have to requote it, but we're going to be making some airplane parts for a customer. My first question whenever a company that calls us to ask about airline parts is this an experimental aircraft? Because if the aircraft is experimental, we don't have to follow FAA guidelines. We can make it out of whatever material they want. If it is not an experimental aircraft and must go through a certification process, you are hard limited to Peak, sometimes PEC, and Ultem 9085 specifically. Sometimes you can get away with 1010, but almost always it's 9085. You will need big machines to print that. Your Bambu will not print that. Sorry, it doesn't.
And in reality, if you're printing parts that need that material, don't cheap out on the machine when the filament costs the same as your machine.
Yep.
It's not worth it. There's a reason some bolts cost $1,000 a bolt.
That's right.
You don't cheap out in the aviation world. Same with the military.
On mission critical components, you don't cheap out. Like, I'm not going to Amazon to find, the cheapest seatbelt that I can for my car. Okay? Like, I'm not doing that. Sorry, it's not happening.
Yeah, that's eBay. That's what eBay's
Absolutely. Or a junkyard, obviously. So we got a question about how's it going with the HT90. What have we been making? We've been making feet stuff. I actually have to film a bit for the HT90 unboxing video with those legs when we're done with the stream.
Can we officially call you a feet man now?
Hey, for the amount of money that I'm getting paid for those, you can call me whatever the hell you want. And yes, Rexit, it's actually a DOS boot thing. Although they're calling it the Saki because it is for... I can't tell you the company name, but if the company name happens to show up on the screen... Whatever, man. Whatever. There's nothing saying that I can't show what we're doing. I can't talk about specifically who it's done for. There's nothing in the NDA that states I can't show it.
Well, no, you were just showing a random product that you quite enjoyed.
It's also public
it had
now.
No coincidental link.
It's also public now, so that's what we're doing the HT90 with. And these airplane parts that came in. So it is an experimental aircraft, so I've given them two prices. One for ASA, one for I think it's either a carbon or a glass-filled ASA. That's going to come from Soraya Tech. We're going to get that from Soraya Tech if they want. So they're going over a few different options for this plane right now, and some of it is they're just going to use the parts as molds to create carbon. Fine. Then I'm making it out of PETG or ABS or regular ASA. If they want end-use parts, I'm going to push them toward the carbon because it will look a lot nicer in the plane. Yeah, it will also look a lot nicer in the plane. That's a significant portion of the price of the machine. Retail price being paid off. It is over 10% of the cost of the machine in those parts that we've quoted.
Wow. So, that's impressive.
Once the foot thing fully pays out, the machine will be fully paid off. So we did it in less than 90 days. It's funny because in theory, if the check clears before the video goes out, we will have paid for the machine before we release the video about paying for the machine.
Okay, that is quite funny.
Mind you, it took a while to get through editing, but that's fine. The airplane part structural or what? It's not so much about structural, it's about liability. Right? The FAA says it must be fire retardant. It must be, certain materials, heat resistant. Yeah, it must meet all these criteria because in the event of an onboard fire in an aircraft, you want to be very certain that it can be contained quickly. Right? GP3 Designs talked about, comparing the H90 to a 22 IDEX. Vision Miner, hook it up. We're happy to. We'll do another 90-day challenge to pay off a 22 IDEX. I don't care. Let's do it. I would love to put those two machines side by side because I think that it would it'd be more fun than most people think. So, but yeah, we printed some Ultem 1010 the other day. Printed Peak on it before. It's fun. What are your feelings on Bambu even tickling the idea of a high temp printer?
I hate it.
Why?
I hate it.
Why?
Mostly because they're encroaching on my territory yet again. Every time we do a new thing, Bambu Lab are like,
Well, okay.
Let's take that.
Again, given what the H2D Pro can do, there's no way it's pure peak.
No, there's not. But in reality, the thing that I don't like about it the most is the misinformation that comes with saying it can print peak.
Right.
Because to me and you, we know it can't. It physically can't. The temperatures aren't high enough. It's not stable enough. It's not suitable for the job position. It's not anything. What you know it's for is for that one marketing manager who doesn't know actually what they're doing, who's been told, we need to print this material, and they see Bambu Lab has a thing, and this is another way for Bambu Lab to get their machine in big industry.
Yep.
Which is definitely not a data security issue point, and is kind of scary. It's this false marketing, and I hate false marketing the most. It's when, I'm going to say Bambu Lab again, because they do it, but so do a load of other companies. Claim speeds you can never reach.
Yep.
Brilliant. My printer can move at 800 millimeters per second, but you've put a 0.4 nozzle in it, and it's got a 30 mil melt chamber, meaning it is categorically limited in the thinnest plastic we can get.
But what if I'm doing 0.05 millimeter layers?
Even worse. Because when you're that thin, your flow rate is not working as it used to.
Really?
So you can't even get the higher flow rates.
I figured you could. Okay. I see. This just shows
it's pressure advance. The pressure advance, when you get to those ultra low thin layers, you can technically flow it, but you end up with just like weird under extrusion artifacts where the material is so close to the material below, it's pulling it out the nozzle instead of pushing it out the nozzle. So you end up with extrusion issues, which is why people with smaller nozzles tend to print slower.
It's funny, we don't really go much lower than 0.1 unless it's like really asked. So it's like, it's not something I've thought of. Like that, it makes sense in theory, like what you're saying, but I've never tested it in practice. And now I'm a bit upset by this. Thank you, Jacob, for ruining my day.
You're welcome. I love ruining your day. It's my job.
But
it gives me immense pleasure.
I appreciate that Bambu is doing another Pro machine, right? Where it can be on Ethernet if you want it, because there is an Ethernet on the H2D. The Pro has it. Once again, they're charging you a exorbitant fee to keep it off a network, basically. So, but I also know those machines are going to sell like hotcakes to industry because that's what industry wants. Now, we are seeing some changes right now. So, recently the change was implemented where government agencies cannot buy Chinese-made products, period, right? That includes 3D printers. So I'll be curious to see if Bambu can find a way around this, because otherwise you're limited to like a handful of companies that can, Construct 3D, Prusa, Lulzbot, is Maker Gear still in business? Zax. It goes to like your boutique printer builders and Prusa, right? If you get rid of China, it is nothing but your boutique printer builders and Prusa. That's it. So it's like, well, wait, that means a lot of your innovation is gone too. Like, love it or hate it, China's pushed the innovation. I would say, let's go to your big announcement, and then we'll finish with Index. But you released a new product, which I don't have.
Oh. Why not?
HT90 has it.
Oh.
So I don't think it's going to be possible to really bundle it with any other machines other than the Prusa Pro line. So I showed it to the HT90 people, and they were very excited. So
brilliant.
I gave it to them.
Oh, fantastic.
Also, Jacob, it was like 4 kilos. I didn't have room for it. Like I had to
4 kilos.
2 glass bottles at 500 milliliters each.
No, they're 150 milliliters each.
I don't think they were that big or that small. I thought they were larger.
Yeah, they're like that big.
Well,
they're like that.
The HT90 people loved it. So let's talk about this. It's called All Clean.
Yep, All Clean.
So what is it?
It's a new high-performance bed cleaner specifically designed to get rid of the issues of IPA on PEI and the soap and waters on PEI, because all of them do a good job, but especially if like you talk to some of the bigger print farmers, after about a year of religious cleaning, like really good behavior cleaning, the PEI just stops working. And it was that coupled with like with you saying you polish yours and that you've been struggling with moisture, and then I was looking at like most of the failure cases for like Bambu lab printers and everything is a dirty bed.
Yep.
There's this entire market segment of, well, it's the bed cleaner. Like we don't have a dedicated bed cleaner. We recommend rubbing alcohol or Windex.
Yep.
And there's not really a middle ground. There should be something designed for the industry that we're doing that isn't just a rebadge of something else.
Right.
So we looked at the polymer science and we realized, well, IPA doesn't actually remove the oil. It just thins it.
No, and it can damage certain print materials or certain print beds.
Yeah, and it thins it. Yeah. It massively thins the oil down enough that it works again, but it doesn't fully get rid of it, and it can slowly harden the oils. Windex is basically only available in America. Ammonia-based cleaners are an American, easier to get. In Europe, it's really hard to get. The soaps and the waters, because soap is generally just pure surfactant, it binds really heavily chemically to PEI, which you can remove some of it, but eventually it permanently binds, and then you have to scrub your beds again. So we took this step back and we're like, half the failure case in our printers when we get like damage reports is first layer issues that have been deemed as bed cleaning faults.
Right.
Other companies are the same. Everyone seems to have to keep buying the beds and they have to keep changing things. And it's generally not a good time, especially when a bed doesn't necessarily fail, meaning it doesn't stick. It just means things can warp more.
Right.
Or they can fall off every now and again.
So this fixes it.
Yeah. It resets chemically PEI back to being factory standard. Instead of it being partially bound with surfactants or with like thin layers of hardened oil, it resets PEI to being chemically clean. Mm-hmm. And because it's such a good cleaner, it also works on your glass and your like plastic beds and your like polyurethane beds as well. So we spent a hot minute on this. Ironically, it was only Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday, we finalized the exclusive chemical supply for the entire 3D printing industry from the sole provider of the chemicals in the industry. So nobody else can even come close to the blends or the efficacy that we've got. And we're running with it. We're so happy with how this is turning out.
Good.
And that's what we're doing. All clean. So it's a 2-part bottle. You've got 2 bottles. One is all clean and one is ready to print. All clean gets rid of all the gunk and all like the glues and the adhesives and the sugars and the oils. And you wipe it off and then you spray on your part 2, which is ready to print, which is mostly for the sake of it, just water and a couple little spicy things to make it work a bit better. And that helps remove the surfactant left over from the all clean to reset it perfectly back to factory standard. And that's it. Simple. Spray, wipe, spray, wipe. You're good to go.
Yep. Yeah, so I used it a few times at Prusa. So we were just like, we were messing around with it on some of their like random machines and offices, and bro, like I took a build plate and rubbed my face with it. Okay. And I have enough oil on my skin that I'm surprised the US hasn't invaded my body yet. And did the all clean on it and then ready to print, and perfect.
It just works.
Yeah. And the person with me is like, wait, this is an older machine. I'm like, yep. It just works. Now, I haven't tested it on the nylon print beds, which very clearly say do not clean with IPA. So I don't know if it's going to mess those up.
All clean is not an IPA. Mm-hmm. There is no ethyl alcohols in all clean at all. There is a small amount, like less than 10% in the ready to print.
Yeah.
And that's mostly as an evaporation aid. It also just helps with that, just in case there was a little bit of surfactant left over. The other little additives, they do their job, but just that little bit of alcohol speeds up the process. Otherwise, you're waiting for it to evaporate. And if you're doing it on a cold bed, it can take like a minute. But it should be fine for nylons. It doesn't degrade a lot of stuff.
You've got a lot of people here that are excited for this. When is it going to be available for purchase?
We are hoping next week. We were supposed to have it ready for this show, and then our website just decided to go, everyone goes taxless. And obviously we still have to pay tax. So we can't really send it live yet. But we've just had our next shipment of bottles arrive. They're already labeled. They're ready to go out in boxes. We're working on like even getting like more optimized boxing, so they go through people's post like letter boxes, so it just slides on through, because we chose the bottle to fit, and then we realized the packaging doesn't. So we're gonna get a custom dyed cardboard box to make that work. We're even working, and this is a bit weird, we're working on our own white label of our own chemical that isn't as aesthetically pleasing for the people who have like print farms where they just want a big 750ml bottle. They don't care about it being this nice, cute little glass thing for your designer printer, which is the Construct 3D brand. You just want it for anything else. You get a nice little spray bottle and you go, and it works.
Yeah, I'll have to get some of the concentrate from you and mix it up here. But yeah, don't forget to mention the UN cert. It is UN certified.
Yep. Fully UN certified, fully NHS certified as well.
Yep.
It's already passed all of its safety tests, its biotesting. It's a registered Safer Spaces chemical. It's also vegan. You'll be surprised at how many cleaning chemicals
Why
aren't
would it
vegan.
be vegan?
A lot of cleaning chemicals are derived from biological, like, living components.
That's like saying that PLA is vegan and it upsets me. Or gluten-free. You know, PLA is gluten-free. Hey, it's gluten-free too. Put that on there, Jacob.
No, maybe.
I mean,
we do have halal on it because it is also halal. It's not derived from unethically sourced components.
That. It just needs to clean beds well. And for my, albeit very minimal testing, it worked really well. So is there a known price yet for this?
So at the moment, because of like all the feedback we're getting, we're actually lowering the price from what we initially wanted, because we've got the quantity. We didn't expect it to be as popular as it was, which means we can start already with the bulk buy like discount on packaging. At the moment, we're aiming for under $20.
Oh.
So just at that line, we've already been able to drop it by like 30% from the last time I told you.
Yeah.
Where we were aiming at like the $28 mark.
Last we talked, it was like 35. It was.
Yeah. So yeah, £28, $35.
Yeah, and I had some pushback on that. I'm like, that's really expensive, Jacob. Like, the only thing I'm using that for is like our high-end printers.
But no, we're able to get it lower. And for everyone asking, it's 300ml total. So you get 150ml of the part 1 and 150ml of part 2. They work together. But it's well worth it. It goes a long way.
Yep.
And especially when you want your prints to work, you kind of need a clean bed.
I spray Windex like I don't pay for my brake clean, right? Like I just spritz the build plates like it's going out of style because it's so cheap I don't care. But when following the directions, there are actual directions on how to use this stuff. When following the directions, it worked really well. And I'm like, that was just like no big deal. Just a little bit. It didn't need much. And I mean, literally, it looked like, other than the scratches on the build plate that were already there, it looked like a factory brand new build plate. So will it will eat through Vision Miner, right? So if you have Vision Miner on your bed, it'll mess that up. Okay.
So it eats through your PVAs and your PVBs. It eats through your hairsprays, which is generally just like a powderized version of PVB. Eats through your Vision Miner, because again, a lot of the feedback we were getting was people add adhesion aids, but then the adhesion aids get contaminated, and then how do you get rid of an adhesion aid if it's stuck to your bed? So it helps with that. It will help remove everything. And that was the goal. It's an all clean. It cleans all. Also, when you get your own, try putting it on like your hob or like your cooker, because it's such a powerful surfactant. It takes off carbon deposit like nothing.
No, I want that on my carbon steel stuff.
Okay, not that, but
okay.
It will clean everything. Like we've got like a range gas cooker, and obviously food falls onto it and it kind of bakes on. Just one spray of this and it comes straight off. No fighting. I put it on all my pots and pans now because it's so good.
So we got to get you a US reseller or distributor. There are questions of, is it going to be 3D Musketeers? I don't think we have the space for it realistically. I can look. There might be some opportunities where we might have space, but I don't think we would hold more than like 50 packages in inventory at any time, just because it's going to take up a lot of space for us. So you and I would have to determine like what a ship quantity makes sense to do it, make sure there's enough meat on the bone for us. And then, yeah, we could look at it. But, someone like Fabrico, West 3D, Printed Solid, plenty of companies out there that could carry it here in the States as well. So good job.
I am too. It's not even like the fact that the product is shaping up to be hyper popular. It's just that, again, we've done what I love with Construct 3D as a brand, is just chasing perfection and unapologetically turning that into a sellable item.
Right.
I didn't care if it was popular. I just wanted a solution. And that solution, pun intended, happens to be very sought after.
Yep, they were smart about it. But yeah, so at Smurf, we saw the final-ish revision of Index on the V0, and they were doing changeovers in as fast as 8.5 seconds. From parking a nozzle, picking it up, and starting to print the prime tower, 8.5 seconds. That is nuts. That is nuts. That is so fast. That's faster. I think that's faster than my XL. I'm almost positive it's faster than the XL. And Mike C 8101 said, if I did get a dev kit, what printer? SV08. I mean, it's very obvious a Index machine. Like,
yeah,
I have 2 of them for the sole purpose of Index and then enclosing. That's the goal. And those are 350 cubes, great size machines. I think you'll be able to put 12 heads on it is what we figured out. Great. Happy with that. But yeah, if it is not a Prusa kit that I can buy off of somebody, then it will be it'll be a dev kit for, and I'll specifically do it with the SV08. So yeah. MLV 10 out of 10. Thank you for getting us to that 10. Said, I wish the SV08 kits weren't canceled. It's not so much that they were canceled, because I don't.
They were just low in demand, weren't they? They just didn't make any more.
It's that you have to work with the manufacturer, and that was the issue. The issue with Bondtech is, if you're working with all these manufacturers, especially ones that like don't have really easy ways to work with other companies, you run into a lot of trouble. It is easier from Bondtech's perspective to let the developer kits develop a mount for the SV08. They adopt that mount, and then they sell the kits for the SV08. I'm sure Sovol had an opportunity. They didn't take it. Because like I know Rat Rigs are in there, Vorons are in there, of course, Steve Build. He's the only public beta tester for Index, right? He's the only one that's public. And he's got it running on a Voron, right? I don't know who else has them. I don't have one. I assume Jacob does, but he couldn't tell me if he did anyways. I assume he does. I don't. I don't have any. I'm excited for this Creality filament machine. I think it's going to unlock a lot of new opportunities for boutique and bespoke filament. Flashforge tool changer, as long as it's cheap, fine. Bambu H2D Pro doesn't really tickle me all that well, but I'm curious about their Peak Pro filament. I might grab a roll of it when it comes out to see. Obviously, your all clean is something I'm gung-ho for. I'd love to see it be distributed here in the States, and I'll do whatever I can to help you out, make that happen. I'm indexed.
That was terrible. Somebody please just clip that and just overlay it onto like an Elden Ring meme.
I already clipped it.
Yeah, good. Somebody put that on an Elden Ring meme. Just comes out instead of your maidenless is just AI generated voice of your indexless, and then it's just Grant breaking down into tears. You're welcome. My asshole does prefer the not in live spicy sessions.
It was fine.